All right, welcome to the Third and Wrong YouTube channel. This is your host for the day, hostess with the mostest, Dylan, as you can see right there. That was awful. But if you are on this video, you might be wondering what it is. If you haven't looked at the title, I'm going to do a Todd McShay mock draft review. I think we call it a mock talk. So I'll be talking about Todd McShay's mock draft, give you my opinions on it, whether it's trash or crap, or if it's actually maybe pretty good. Um, if you're watching this now, though, we do appreciate if you can give us a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us out a bunch. And we're going to be doing a lot of mock drafts. We're going to be doing a lot of mock talk or mock reviews. And hopefully, here in the future, we can do some community mock drafts and get a lot of our people that watch to be able to input their ideas into our videos. So if you're doing that, like I said, before we get into the videos, stop for a second, give that little like button a press, drop a comment about who maybe your favorite team is and who you're hoping for in the first round of this draft, and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you for watching. We're going to get into this video right now. Boom. All right, like I said, we're going to be talking about Todd McShay's mock draft. It just dropped today, February 15th. I don't know exactly which mock draft we're going to be talking about here, but we're going to be talking, I don't know if he numbers it like 1.0 or anything like that, but we'll pull that up here and give you a little looky-loo on that. Boom. So this is my screen here. I'm just going to kind of scroll through these picks here and just kind of talk about things that I would do or maybe not do. Again, I don't have the most amount of information right now because we're still early in the process here, but this is something that I think will adjust. I think most people adjust their mock drafts for the most part almost every week or every other month because there's so much that changes all the time. So, like I said, we're going to get into this little mock talk here. So, the first thing here you'll probably see is that he is projecting a trade for their Colts going up to the Bears' #1 overall pick. This is something that I think would happen. I think I knew this was going to happen as soon as the Colts lost to the Texans and secured the 4th overall pick. It just makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of chemistry or communication with the Bears organization and the Colts, given our old defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, is now their head coach. And kind of funny, just I think today, Jim Irsay dropped a tweet saying that he has had a great relationship with Chicago Bears for like 60 years, and it was him at the Chicago Zoo next to a bear. So maybe hinting at a little trade here, but I think this is something that is definitely a possibility for it to happen. So let's go through the trade. I don't know if they're going to talk about... Oh, kind of spoiled that there. So he's saying that the trade compensation will be the #4 overall pick, which is a no-brainer. A second rounder this year, which definitely helps. It's the, 3 picks outside of the first round. So a really high second round pick kind of acts like a first rounder this year. And then a 5th rounder and maybe even an additional first round compensation next year. I don't really care necessarily about the compensation. I think the biggest thing is we're going to lose our first and second round pick this year, most likely. And then everything else, I think that's just negotiation. So it's hard to predict that, but we'll go on. Like I said, I spoiled it, but Bryce Young is the quarterback here. I think this might be pulling off of Jim Irsay's comments that he likes the Alabama guy. This could definitely be the pick. In my mock draft, my 1.0, I have CJ Stroud going to the Texans because I couldn't trade up. If I could trade up, I would have the Colts trading up to CJ Stroud. I just like his throwing ability and his size just a little bit more than I like Bryce Young's. Obviously, Stroud has a lot of work on, but that's kind of just where I sit. But I do think this trade is realistic. The compensation, I think that gets determined, and that's just fine however it lands. All right, let's go to the second overall pick, though. CJ Stroud. This is what happened in my mock draft, but because, like I said, I didn't do a trade and they got their first selection, this would be mine. I really like CJ Stroud. I think he showed a lot of growth in his 2 years at Ohio State. I think he has a lot of command of that offense, and I think it shows that he's definitely capable of learning and progressing in an offensive system. I think this is a home run for the Texans if they land him, which sucks for me. Will Anderson going to the Cardinals first overall. I think that this is most likely what's going to happen. I would say this is about a 75%. I think Jalen Carter is the only other option here. I think it'd be crazy if they went with a corner or anyone else. So I think this is like a 75-80% chance that this is going to happen. Will Anderson to the Cardinals, unless they trade down as well to someone like the Panthers or the Raiders if they're trying to jump up as well. Number 4, Jalen Carter. This is what happened in my mock draft because they stayed at number 1. And I see them really liking Jalen Carter. The Eberflus system worked really good with having someone very disruptive at the tackle position. They're going to not stop doing that, so they're going to keep on adding into that interior offensive line and make it easier for their edge rushers. And I think this is a great pick. Another home run for him in this mock draft. Number 5. I also did this in my mock draft. I'll stop talking about my mock draft from here on out. But Tyree Wilson is a great edge prospect. He's got great size, and I think he projects very well. And like McShay is here saying, he is expecting that Geno Smith is going to get franchise tag or re-signed. I think they really like him. Why change what's working, even if it's working better than Russell Wilson? So you don't move on from a good quarterback and hope for a rookie to be better. So Tyree Wilson, I think, is a great pick here. And number 6, I think, is the Lions taking Myles Murphy. I think he's a good pick. I don't think he's a pure edge rusher, which I think you would want to, I would say utilize more in this part of the draft. There's not a whole lot of pure edge left now that Tyree and Will Anderson's gone. So you get a defensive end prospect with Myles Murphy. I don't think it's bad. I think Brian Brucey probably is a little more disruptive and a little bit more rare of a talent, but this isn't bad. If you're a Lions fan, most people are putting a cornerback here. You're going to get a cornerback later. Trust me. I even looked at this, and I almost guarantee you're going to get a cornerback later. All right, number 7, Raiders. Ooh, they swing on a quarterback, Will Levis. I really like Will Levis with his size, his pro-style experience, and being able to command a lesser talent SEC team into the top 25 pretty consistently this year. I forget where they landed, but I think at one point they were top 10. And doing that in the SEC with a non-Alabama, Auburn, or Ole Miss even, it's really hard to do that, especially at Kentucky when they're a basketball school. So I really like Will Levis. I think he has a lot of growth in him still, and his run ability I think is going to help out Josh McDaniels. And I think this is a great pick for him. I honestly expect them to trade up if Will Levis is at 3 or 4 or 5. I guess I don't know. But let's move on to number 8, the Atlanta Falcons. Peter Skoronski. That's an interesting pick. That's something that I don't think I necessarily put there. I think I put either like a Myles Murphy or someone like that. But it's not a bad pick. He's a good offensive lineman. Moving on, though, Carolina Panthers. See, this is the one that's interesting. Anthony Richardson going to Florida. I don't think that Frank Reich's going to do this. I think he's going to prefer someone like a Tanner McKee. Or even just keeping their quarterbacks. I think this is a lot of projection here, saying Anthony Richardson to the Panthers, mainly because he does have run ability. He has, a big arm, but everything else, that's going to be a lot to learn, and I think that they're going to not do this, in my opinion. So that's, like I said, that's just me. The Eagles, number 10, through the Saints traded last year, get Brian Brucey. I think he's a very special talent, especially defensive tackle. Pairing him with Jordan Davis is just going to be crazy. Really, for Brian Brucey, you can put him in any of the interior defensive line positions, and he's going to excel at them. I believe he's 6'5", he's a big dude, and he's going to just berserk in that defense. So I think this is a great pick here. Tennessee Titans, Paris Johnson. I think this is very likely to happen. Paris Johnson is a very good offensive tackle prospect. He might not be the best right now, technical, skill-wise, and everything like that, but I do think that he's a really good tackle. And with the Titans, they love to just fill that offensive line with talent and get Derrick Henry open lanes. So I think Paris Johnson is a great pick here. Houston Texans taking Quentin Johnson. I think this is probably going to be the most mocked wide receiver here. I don't know if he's necessarily the best wide receiver, but his projection is very good, so I can see this happening. But I do think that someone like Jordan Addison or even a Zay Flowers might pop off a lot sooner than Quentin Johnston and be more of a modern wide receiver where you're looking for separation and burners. Quentin Johnson is quick for his size, but he's a body catcher. He doesn't really catch with his hands in front of him, doesn't really catch away from his body much, but he does have the ability to win 50-50 balls, so that also is very useful. So don't hate it. I just don't think that this is going to happen, mainly because it's just mocked to death right now, and usually when that happens early on, it's probably just not going to happen. But moving on, Broderick Jones to the Jets. This is where I have Peter Skoronski going, but offensive tackle or offensive line in general is a great pick here for the Jets. If Broderick Jones is your guy, great. If not, then I'm sure he's going to be a fine tackle irregardless. You guys have a lot of good offensive line pieces. It's just about getting your best five on the field and have them stay healthy. Broderick Jones is great. I think he helps you guys out a lot. So moving on to the Patriots, they select Joey Porter as the first cornerback off the board. I don't expect this to happen. Mainly because I don't think Joey Porter is the best corner, and I don't think they're going with this defensive system anymore, where you're just having a big corner that is like a Stephon Gilmore or even the one that left last year. I forget his name. But I think this, if you're going this route, I think they're going to go Christian Gonzalez or even a Devon Witherspoon. I think that fits them a little bit better. And anyways, I also think that even Zay Flowers might be a better pick here for them. Having someone impact on offense would be great. But I mean, Joey Porter isn't terrible. This isn't like a we lost the draft kind of pick, but I just don't expect them to do this. The Packers taking Michael Mayer, a.k.a. taking a tight end or a wide receiver in this spot is good. I expect them to move on from Aaron Rodgers. I think the writing's on the board there. I might have even said that last year, but, who knows? Anything can happen. Depending on who the quarterback is, I think it changes a little bit here, but most likely they're going to go a pass catcher, tight end, or a wide receiver. Michael Mayer is a special talent. I think he's the best tight end right now. And it's interesting. There are other tight ends that people are trying to put ahead of him. You just can't. He's so good. Michael Mayer, though, I think he's a day one starter at tight end, and that's what you're looking for in the first round. So I like this a lot. They could go a number of different ways, and I would still like it, but I do like Michael Mayer. Moving on next, the Commanders get Devon Witherspoon, cornerback out of Illinois. This is going to be a hard one to project because they could go so many different ways. I can see them trading up, trading down. I can see them going cornerback, defensive line, linebacker, even offensive tackle or even quarterback if you really like someone. So this is hard to project. I don't mind Devon Witherspoon here. I think he goes a lot higher than this, so good at getting a great value prospect. So Pittsburgh Steelers, I guess we're on the run of cornerbacks because Christian Gonzalez goes. I like him a lot. I think he goes first, but if he's here at 17, great. If not, if you're looking for value, I'd probably go with a offensive lineman. A lot of them have already been taken, so I can understand going with Gonzalez, where his value is probably a little bit higher. Going next is the Lions with the true DB run here. Keely Ringo is a very high prospect. His play this year kind of fell, I think, in a lot of people's minds, but I think he's got a lot of athletic ability, which at the NFL is a lot more important than what your production was in college because the games are just very different. And like I said, the Lions, you got your cornerback. I think you have a lot of talent here. If you want to prioritize defensive line, I think that's probably your best situation because you can get someone like Ringo here and be totally fine. So moving on though, let's go to the Buccaneers. They got Lucas Van Ness, D end out of Iowa. I think a lot of people will probably tell you he was almost purely a pass rusher, wasn't really on the field in running downs. He's got a lot to like. He's big. He can rush from just inside the tackle to outside the tackle. He's got a lot of moves in him, and I do think that this is a great move for the Buccaneers defense, which is kind of getting more shallow on talent lately. So I like this move a lot. This is where I have Anthony Richardson going, but if he's not here, then don't really want to go with another quarterback. I think this is a great move. Next up is the Seattle Seahawks. They go Brian Branch, safety out of Alabama. I think he plays a lot of different positions for the Seahawks. I like this move a lot. I don't know if there's necessarily any other type of player that I would prefer, so this pick is very nice. And continuing the run on DB prospects, Cam Smith, South Carolina. The thing that I noticed about Cam Smith is I think he excels in zone coverage a lot more with his eyes towards the quarterback, and he has a lot of good instincts in that situation. His man coverage isn't necessarily elite, but it's something where he has the size, he has the know-how, and I feel like he just is athletic enough to learn it. So that's something that I can see why he falls in the eyes of other teams, but where you're at 21, taking a cornerback isn't really bad. But you're at the tail end of a long cornerback, run, right? A run of cornerbacks. You're not getting your value in the first round. If you're picking the fifth or sixth one, I would definitely look at getting a wide receiver. Only one has gone off the board so far, and getting someone like I've been saying, Zay Flowers or Jordan Addison or Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think that just is way more valuable for the Chargers right now. But I don't know. That's just what McShay is throwing out there for you guys. All right, number 22, Baltimore Ravens going Bijan Robinson out of Texas. I think he's clearly the best running back in this draft, but I think you'll hear us talk about all offseason. I don't think that running back is going to be taken in the first round this year. To me, you can find players in the fourth and fifth rounds now that produce. The Ravens have a number of running backs that can produce already, and they just need wide receivers. So like I said, take a wide receiver here. I think he'll do a lot better just with value than taking a running back right now. They did just change their offensive coordinator. I think it was the Georgia's offensive coordinator. Got brought up to the big leagues, and I think they keep Lamar Jackson. So I think it's interesting to prioritize a running back where that's just not really the value anymore. All right, number 23, Minnesota Vikings take Jordan Addison. Hallelujah. The Vikings get another wide receiver. I don't know if it says it here, Adam Thielen is entering age 33. I think this is a great wide receiver to learn from is Thielen. Also pair up with Justin Jefferson, who might be the best wide receiver right now. I think this makes a lot of sense. Kind of be ahead of the curve of Adam Thielen's drop off. Get Jordan Addison in there, have him run slots, or I guess Thielen's probably going to run more slot. Have him just be on the field. You'll produce pretty well with Kirk Cousins there. I don't know about winning in anything other than Sunday morning games, but good for Jordan Addison here. All right, number 24, Jackson Smith and Jigba to the Jaguars. Jackson Smith, Jacksonville, makes a lot of sense. I think this is going to be the start of a run for wide receivers. This is great value if you're the Jaguars. You get Calvin Ridley back. Christian Kirk is paying off really well. I think this just loads the talent pool for Trevor Lawrence even more. I think this is great for him. You could also look at cornerback, but like I said, we're at the end of the run there. So Taking Jackson Smith and Jigba here is very valuable, very smart. So I like this for the Jaguars. Uh, okay, yeah, run on wide receivers. Zay Flowers to the New York Giants. He's a great smaller wide receiver, but he just does so many things so well that he is going to be very sought after. I think he goes as early as the Patriots, but for the Giants, getting him at 25 is awesome for you guys. So moving on to the Dallas Cowboys, Osiris Torrance, guard out of Florida. I think he's a very big guard. He's very good run blocking guard. I think he does a very good job in that area. We'll see what he does with pass blocking. I don't think that's necessarily his strongest suit, but filling up the offensive line is always the Cowboys' way of doing things. I think it's smart. So getting a great guard is very nice. Number 27, Jahmyr Gibbs out of Alabama. I think he is next after Bijan Robinson. He, to me, is totally the Alvin Kamara of this draft, and he does a lot of things very well. I don't think running backs go in the first round, but if you're the Bills and you're just like wanting to beat the run on running backs, hey, I guess do it, but to me, I just don't think the value is really there. 28, the Cincinnati Bengals take Dalton Kincaid. He's a very well-utilized tight end in a very tight end-friendly system. I don't think this is bad. Tight ends, if you're looking for him to start right away, I think he can do that. I don't know if this is just necessarily the need, though. You have some tackles on the board that are still great. You got some guards on the board that are still good. You got some wide receivers still out there. You got a lot of other prospects. I just don't know if I would be, spending my first round on a tight end. That doesn't necessarily give you a whole lot more than what Hayden Hurst is doing right now. But he's cheaper, and you get him for longer, I guess. So maybe that works out. Moving on next is the New Orleans Saints. They traded away Sean Payton to get the Broncos pick that they got from Miami, that Miami got from San Francisco, I guess. So whole lot of wheeling and dealing with this pick to end up with Keon White, defensive edge from Georgia Tech. He's someone that has definitely popped up a lot more in the mock drafts lately. To be honest, I haven't seen a lot of tape on this guy, so hopefully he's good. That's just one player that I haven't seen a whole lot yet. But he definitely is rising up. I've seen that part. But I guess you add into that defense, that's good. I think that they land Derek Carr after him getting released, but let's wait and see. If Keon White is great, I'll come back and just say Keon White's great in the comments or something. Number 30, the Philadelphia Eagles lost the Super Bowl, so they have the second to last pick of the first round. And they get Anton Harrison, tackle out of Oklahoma. I think this dude goes a lot higher, especially over some of the tight ends and running backs. But hey, the Eagles land a great offensive line talent. I think he still has a little bit more to learn than some of the other offensive line prospects. But hey, I think he's a good body. The Eagles have done better with a lot less experienced offensive line like Jordan Mailata. So I think that they can do a great job here. And this makes a good pick for the Eagles. And last but not least, the Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs, select Jalen Duncan, offensive tackle out of Maryland. I'll be honest, this is someone I have not seen yet. So I guess throwing in someone to replace Wiley is probably the best move. They can do a whole laundry list of different things here, but getting a tackle is not bad. If he's a good dude, great. If not, then that kind of sucks, but I think it's better than adding another running back just because you can, or adding another burner just because they want to replace Tyreek Hill or something like that. They're set on corners. I think they're really set on defense for the most part, but it never hurts to add in more talent there if you find it. So it'll be interesting to see what players that they missed. I think one of the bigger ones is the linebacker out of Clemson. I'm spacing on his name right now. And Simpson, yeah. I think it's like Jerome Simpson or something like that. I think he goes a lot higher. I think he goes in the first round over running backs and tight ends, but that's just me. We did get to the end of this first round mock draft for Todd McShay. So if you agree with Todd McShay or agree with me, let me know, or what your thoughts are on all of this. This is our first reaction, our first mock talk. So drop a like and subscribe. We're going to get a lot more of these out for you guys. It's a lot more fun to talk about and just get a whole lot of different opinions on things. So we'll do a lot more of these, hopefully with Gage and Mike here, so you're not just listening to me ramble on. Sometimes I get monotone, so apologize for that. But yeah, drop that like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.